Hi everyone, Petrik here. So for today's video, I'll be talking about all the books that I finished in the month of April and also the month of May. I just decided to combine them into one video because I only managed to finish a total number of, again, 5 books, 5 novels, and then also 7 manga volumes. That's it. As I talked about in one of my recent videos, I had a bit of a burnout, quite a big burnout in the month of April and also in the month of May. I'm starting to get over that, which is good, but because of that, the month of April and the month of May, as far as quantity, it's by far the lowest reading month that I ever faced in the past probably 8 years. But as far as quality goes, thankfully, the books that I read in the month of April and May are pretty good. So at least there's that. And to overcome my burnout in the fantasy genre and also in creating content, I decided to do a reread of some of my favorite books in the fantasy genre, like this one. And this is for The Name of the Wind by Petrik Rothfuss, because I got this copy being sent to me by one of my patrons. This is The Name of the Wind Grim Oak Press edition. I decided to do another reread of The Name of the Wind. Might as well, because I'm in the middle of desperately needing to read a lot of new, a lot of 5 stars of fantasy books, which is, of course, The Name of the Wind for me. I consider this one the best fantasy debuts of all time, probably of all time, not gonna lie, even though the series is not finished, probably will not be finished. I don't know about that. I cannot deny that I enjoyed my time a lot with every moment of reading The Name of the Wind, from the first time, the second time, and this time, the third time I'm reading through The Name of the Wind. The writing is, as you can probably tell, impeccable. I think one of the greatest things about doing another reread of The Name of the Wind, and probably The Wise Man's Fear as well, is to see how everything has been planned from the beginning. There's a lot of foreshadowing, and if you have seen some of Captured in Words, Jay's video about the Kingkiller Chronicle, you will see how amazing all these plannings and foreshadowings were in the book, especially The Name of the Wind, in my opinion. And of course, because the writing, it always compels me. I think Rothfuss, the way he writes, is just really hard and difficult to replicate. Not any authors, I think, can capture the same brilliance as the Kingkiller Chronicle style of writing. I love framing narrative, and Rothfuss pretty much popularized the framing narrative with the Kingkiller Chronicle. And Kvothe. Kvothe is a very, I think, mixed experience depending on the readers. I find him a very compelling narrator, but at the same time, I totally understand if some people are frustrated with him. And there's the argument that he is a Gary Stu. Now, I get that. I get that he's a genius, he's brilliant, but at the same time, he is countered by his arrogance and his stupid decisions. He made a lot of rash decisions. I think that counters his brilliance. And as you can see, he ended up in a lot of big troubles many times. But you know what? I think many of you know my full thoughts about The Name of the Wind already. My thoughts about this hasn't changed. I still love this book very much. I think this is a masterpiece in epic fantasy. I still consider that up to this day, and I'm really glad I did another reread of The Name of the Wind using this edition. This edition comes with illustrations by Mark Simonetti, this iconic cover art, and then several colored interior illustrations, all of them done by Mark Simonetti. I'm curious to see what he will do for the Wise Man's Fear Grim Oak Press edition. And then onward to the second book that I finished in the month of April. It was for a new book, The Radiant King by David Dalglish. So this one is easily a Berserk-inspired epic fantasy. It is pretty close to becoming grimdark fantasy, in my opinion, even though I don't think David Dalglish ever written any grimdark fantasy, but this one came really close to becoming a grimdark fantasy in my book. So this one, as I said, this is definitely a Berserk-inspired novel. If you have read Berserk up to the end of the Golden Age era, then you will see all the inspirations that being poured into The Radiant King. Now, on Goodreads right now, the average rating for this one is quite mixed. I think at the time of recording this video, it sits at 3.7. Now, I remember another Berserk-inspired novel that pretty much faced the same issue, the same circumstance, and that is The 11th Cycle by Kian Ardalan. I don't know whether this is a curse toward any Berserk-inspired novel or not, but for me personally, this is kind of like a gift for me because I love Berserk and I love fantasy books inspired by it. And this one, of course, is another great book for me. It's not a 5-star novel. I still haven't found any 5-star fantasy novel this year. I know that's insane. We're almost at the end of June, and I still haven't found any new 5-star fantasy books, but this one came really close. I gave this one, I think, a 4.5 out of 5 stars rating. And yeah, that's really high. You know what? The world building definitely can feel a bit too small considering the scope and also the story contained in The Radiant King. It follows the story of 6 siblings, 6 immortal siblings who decided to uphold peace for the sake of the world, but one decided to, well, betray them. So all 6 initially vows to uphold peace, and then one suddenly decided to demand the throne of the world. And yeah, because of that, our 2 main characters at first, Faron and Sariel, decided to thwart this character's ambition. And then the story unravels from that. I will not spoil you on the reading experience, of course. But yeah, I'm really glad I read this one. There is this flashback portion in this book. Before we get to that though, there are plenty of skirmish in the first book that I think definitely can be a bit of a challenge because that definitely kind of hinders the pacing for me. But once you get through that and then the story progressed, everything got better and better for me. Initially, I was also starting to feel, you know what, this skirmish and also the small battles starting to feel a bit too repetitive in my opinion and inconsequential. But after a while, after we start to learn more about the characters, I finally started to enjoy The Radiant King so much more. And then the flashback hits and everything just, well, it became an absolutely incredible novel from there, in my opinion. But when I saw some of the reviews on Goodreads, apparently many people felt really, well, they felt disappointed by the flashback portion, which is kind of crazy to me because to me, that was easily the best part of the entire book, the flashback portion. It changed our views on many of the characters, pretty much all of the characters, all the main characters in The Radiant King instantly in just a few chapters. Some said that the flashback chapters were too long. Personally, I think it was too short. I wanted more out of the flashback chapters. But again, this is my opinion. Overall, I really enjoyed The Radiant King. I think it is probably the best first book of a series written by David Dalglish so far. I have read The Bladed Fate. I have read also, what's the name? A Soul Keeper, and then this one, 3 books. And I think this is the best among those 3, or at least up there with The Bladed Fate, which is a pretty good start of a series as well. So I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars rating. And this, I consider The Radiant King to be the book of the month for the month of April, the best book of the month in the month of April, not counting Reread, of course. And then after that, the next 2 books that I finished, this is going into the month of May as well. This is for Exit Strategy and also Network Effect by Martha Wells, which is the 4th and the 5th title in the Murderbot Diary series. So Exit Strategy is a novella. Network Effect is the first full-length novel in the Murderbot Diary series. So Exit Strategy, it closes the first story arc in the Murderbot Diary series. And among the first 4 novellas in the Murderbot Diaries, I consider Exit Strategy to be the culmination of them all and also the most fun. It is the most action-packed, and at the same time, it is also the most enjoyable for me. I think Martha Wells built out of every standalone titles in the first 3 titles and then made them connected in Exit Strategy. And I gave this one though still a 3.5 out of 5 stars, just like all the novellas in the Murderbot Diaries that I have read. However, Network Effect, it is my favorite title, definitely my favorite title in the Murderbot Diaries so far. And I have always thought that each book in the Murderbot Diaries should have been a novel, and Network Effect kind of proved that for me. I really love reading Murderbot's relationship and also struggle with Amira. I think that's the name, or Amita. I think Amira. The writing is Amera. But yeah, I think their journey and also the return of Art, I don't think that's a spoiler, and the development of Murderbot here, everything just shine in Network Effect. The actions were fun. The actions were more compelling, and also there were many more high-stakes moments in Network Effect. I really enjoyed it, and I think the development and also the build-up from the first book, All Systems Red, up to Exit Strategy, have all been implemented really well into Network Effect. It was really great to see the development and the inner thoughts of Murderbot in Network Effect. So yeah, really enjoyed that one. I don't know how the last two books, Fugitive Telemetry and also System Collapse, can top Network Effect, but I will look forward to finding that out within this month. Hopefully soon, but for now, Network Effect is really my favorite title in the Murderbot Diaries. And then finally, the last book that I finished in the month of May, it was another reread to overcome my burnout. It is of Kings of the Wyld by Nicholas Eames. Again, absolutely incredible debut, one of my favorite debuts. It is so refreshing, to be reading a fantasy novel, an epic fantasy novel that managed to conjure all kind of emotions like sadness, happiness, laughter, and then also tension. Kings of the Wyld has them all. That's why I loved it in the first place, and I haven't done a reread of Kings of the Wyld since the first time I read it in 2017. So that's like 8 years ago, and I'm really glad that I did. I still remember that the first 3 chapters already made me super emotional, and it did again in my second read of Kings of the Wyld. It's just such a great novel. I love the cast of Saga, which is, well, they're called Kings of the Wyld, and then their adventures throughout the Hard Wyld and all that to rescue Rose is just so fun and also engaging to me. Plus, there are a lot of music implementations, music reference, and also Final Fantasy and video game reference implemented into Kings of the Wyld without actually bothering the story. I think they were put into the text and narrative really well. For example, Viraga. If you have played Final Fantasy novels, you know that Viraga is actually the name of the highest tier of fire magic. And then there is also Biggs and Wedge. And of course, Skyships as well. And there is also Barret, which is one of the main characters of Final Fantasy VII. So yeah, there are just a lot of reference being put into Kings of the Wyld. And the same for Bloody Rose as well. I think it's really, really nice of Nicholas Eames to do that. And I consider this still one of my favorite novels. Really love Kings of the Wyld, and I still love Bloody Rose as well. So yeah, those are the 5 books that I read in the month of April and May. For the book of the month in the month of May, well, I can only choose one book, and that is Network Effect, because I only finished Network Effect and Kings of the Wyld in the month of May. As far as manga goes, I only managed to read 7 volumes of Black Clover, from volume number 15 to volume number 22. But that's it. I'm still enjoying my time with Black Clover. I might as well catch up to the entire manga now, and then after that, I will be reading One Piece, the Egghead or Eggman. Yeah, the Egghead Island arc. I think it's time for me to be reading that because that story arc has been concluded, and I'm really excited. So once I'm done with reading Black Clover, One Piece, continuing with One Piece is next. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are all the books that I finished in the month of April and also May. I hope I will have a more productive month in the month of June and also the rest of the year. That's my hope. Anyway, I have some really exciting titles that I want to read, such as The Strength of the Few, Shadows Upon Time, and also Empire of the Dawn, and many more, like Dungeon Crawler Carl and Lord of the Mysteries as well. Do let me know what you think about all the books that I finished in the month of April and May. And of course, do tell me which books you like most in the month of May. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Bye-bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.